Hey there, I'm Kathy with the Traveling Homesteader and Gyroscope Farm, and today we're going to be transplanting some of the plants that I had actually planted from seed about a month ago. And so you can see that video earlier in the YouTube channel. But here's the thing, these are really leggy. I think I let them go a little bit too long. This happens to be one of my tomato plants. It's an heirloom tomato that I got from seed from a local company called Territorial Seed Company. And I chose an heirloom tomato because I like being able to have the opportunity to get the seeds from the fruit or vegetable later on down the line. Some non-organic plants don't necessarily get seeds that produce the next year. So that's why I chose this one. Plus I like the organic tomatoes, and they're really big. So this is a tomato plant that I started in one of these buy from the store kits, and so it has this little extra mesh around the initial soil, and for that I'm gonna actually just remove that because in years past when I haven't, it didn't grow quite as well. So that's one little secret. I'm going to try this year to see how it goes. It's still within a little package, you might say, but with that in mind, what I have is some soil that I'd purchased, and I actually had I'd combined some things. There's a man named Mel Bartholomew that has square foot gardening, and he talks about something that he calls Mel's Mix. The premise to that, which is I kind of like, is having three equal parts of compost or decomposed manure, peat moss, and then perlite or vermiculite. And so that's what I've done with this, and so it's that Mel's Mix combination. But I also will now add an additional, because this has been sitting since last year, this is my batch of new compost from this year that I purchased. I ended up getting it says grow bigger and more beautiful plants and flowers. It actually has a little bit extra oomph in it, and it was about $5 at my local garden store. So I'm going to add this new compost into my mix that I did through Mel's Mix to give my new plants a little bit extra. And by doing that, hopefully that'll help them have a little bit better start from when I kind of neglected to transplant them sooner. So as I'm mixing this, I want to make sure that it has enough moisture in it as well, that it will be able to hold water, but not have to get a whole lot. So first I'm going to just take my extra pot. Now these pots are ones that my mom had gotten and saved from when she'd purchased plants in years past. You can purchase these online if you want, or you can go to nurseries and see if they have any extras for free. My mom just ended up saving these because she started transplanting hers and doing things from seed when she kind of got in. So she has a whole stash of these. So nuts and bolts, take the new batch of soil, fill in the pot, so let it settle in. And what I do is create a nice hole in the middle, and it doesn't have to be all full, but what I'm going to do too is then add a little bit of water before I put the plant in. And this is something I learned along the way that you can do with flowers that you're going to plant in the ground. You can do it with trees that you're going to plant as well, or with garden plants. By putting the water in first and then kind of getting this root base kind of, I guess, moved around a little bit, the roots have an opportunity to feel invigorated, and they'll go search for the water down below. So I've put the plant now in the pot, and I'll put the base in. Since it's a little tilty, and tomato plants do better when you plant them a little farther down, because the stem will create new roots in addition to the root ball that was just in there. So now I'm going to add a little bit more soil from my mix and tamp down the soil a little bit. And this is my new little home for this little plant. It's teeny tiny, but hopefully it'll kind of do its job. And now I'll add a little bit more water on top as well to have it, make sure it gets enough water. Now this will be watered, I'd say probably I'll check it every day but probably every other day it'll get water. Now, in one case, as I planted it, this one ended up getting 3 plants in it. So I'm going to try to separate these. I don't know that all will survive, but at least that's part of the processing of these plants to hopefully help them kind of go get a little bit further. Now, I'm going to put this in one of these 6-pack trays, similar to what we did with the singular one. We're going to put the soil in each of the containers. We don't necessarily have to fill them all the way up because the plant will take up some of the room. But then I'll end up transplanting this again into a larger pot, similar to the one I just did, when need be. Now, so there's some options that you can do. Generally speaking, the smaller the plant, the smaller the transplant you want to make, and then you'll continue on. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But if you transplant directly into your garden too soon, it could kill them off, and you'd have a real big problem then. So again, I'm going to take off the little sort of holding the netting that's on the outside of my plant, and then I'm going to put a little soil from the root ball into my pot so it finds some familiar stuff. I'm going to very gently open this up and put one in each hole, so to speak, in the pot. Now, I actually might take this one because the roots are so intertwined. I'm just going to leave them together. I'd rather have them have a stronger start than a weaker one, so we'll see how that goes. And I'll just place them right into the hole in the new pot. And again, put a little water, and fill up the top. Now, these are some different pots you can plant into. You can certainly find other ways to plot things too. One year I ended up using some glass jars, but with glass jars, they don't have the bottom holes. And these holes are rather important in the bottom so the water can come through. And so if you use something that has a solid bottom, either if it's plastic, drill holes in it so the water can get out, or put in little, you can put rocks in the bottom so that the water can go to the rocks and the soil can be above that, and so then the water has a means of escaping. Now I'm going to continue planting or transplanting some of my other plants because I have some eggplant, and then I even have a little bit of basil over here, which I'm kind of excited about. My big thing that I'm really excited about though is this year I'm going to be trying some loofah gourds. Now these, I understand, they climb up to between 20 and 30 feet high, and they have a myriad, like multiple fruit, you might say. The gourds end up having probably 5 to 10 per plant, and what you do with these are that you can eat them when they're young, pick them soon, pick them when they're about this big, or if you let them mature, you can actually let them dry out, take the seeds out to transplant the next year. But then you can use the actual gourd for soaps, for body scrubs. You can use them for a whole host of things, even at your sink for washing out your dishes. So that's the kind of exciting thing that I'm looking forward to this one. So now that you know how to plant or transplant your seeds, the next step will probably be to put in your garden after the next frost. So you don't want to plant your plants too soon, and it's still, at least where I am in Oregon, there's a chance of frost still coming up, even though today it's bright, beautiful, and about 70. So fingers crossed these do well and we don't have another frost. So click on the subscribe button on the Traveling Homesteader to see more YouTube videos like this one, and you can check out our farm page at gyroscopefarm.com. Keep coming back, check us out, and have fun planting. Hey there, Kathy back just with planting stuffs, just as a little FYI. In case your plants after your transplant look a little bit wilted, a little bit sickly like this, that's okay. They will sometimes have a little bit of shock as you transplant. And that's okay, because they just needed to get a little bit acclimated to their new spot. So in case you see that after transplanting, give them about 24 hours and they should be sprightly again. So just a little added FYI for transplanting. See you later.